Beardy and the Beast Media Club.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is a placeholder intro song.
Welcome to an extra spooky edition of Beardy and the Beast Media Club, a spoiler filled discussion into a piece of media. We will descend upon those spoilers like federal agents attempting to acquire an alien body. We're available here and on many other services, with the full list available at beardyandthebeast.com. My name is Drew, and as always, we have Devin.
Yo.
You should probably phone home, though. Seriously, though, your mom's worrying about you.
Oh.
Joining us is an author, filmmaker, and podcast host, an all-around cool person, Ashley Good.
Don't talk to me, don't look at me, pretend I'm not here.
Like a federal agent.
This month,
Exactly. One of the federal agents are going to storm Drew's compound.
it's not a compound, okay? It's a bunker. There's a
Devin.
difference.
Devin knows what I'm talking about.
It's true. Super secret.
This month we are revisiting films that frightened us as children. And today we're discussing the acclaimed 1982 classic, Extra-Terrestrial. So Ashley, was that a friendly alien or a terrifying cornfield goblin?
As a child, I would have said terrifying cornfield goblin. But as an adult, you know what? I related a lot to E.T., especially the scene, after he had a couple of Coors Lights and he's watching cartoons and he, plays dress up with young Drew Barrymore and he has his hand out with his jewelry and he's just like, phone home. That part, it resonated a lot with me, but I'll get into that in a bit.
So what you're telling
E.T.'s
us
my friend.
So what you're telling us is you're an alien stuck at a bar and trying to get your husband to come pick you up.
No, I'm trying to tell you that in 20 years, I'm going to be an old lush that wears a lot of jewelry and just points at things.
I mean, I don't see any difference from how you are now.
Yeah, fair. I do have the fingerless gloves on. I mean, the viewers or listeners can't see them, but I tried to set the mood here. Yeah. You're welcome.
I appreciate. I saw a lot of things in this that I realized would frighten me as a child. And it all kind of started seeing E.T.'s weird spindly head or long fingers. Like,
Yeah.
there's something about that is just like super creepy, like even now, but especially for a child.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Like the way I noted it too. It's like I really feel the kind of the first scenes were actually they had an almost I wouldn't necessarily say scary, but it was definitely a horror type feel they were trying to go for it. And I actually was feeling that kind of tension and creepiness that was inherent there. So I
When-
think Spielberg did really good with that.
Oh yeah, when you intro a film where there's like this, it's the middle of the night, it's misty, there's a cornfield, a lone kid. The only thing that was missing there compared to a horror movie from like that time is that it had a different soundtrack.
Yeah.
I got some major Stranger Things vibes from this movie, and I think the Spielberg fellow might have been copying them just a little bit. So
Well, he copied a good series then.
Yeah.
one thing that wasn't copied was my book Mary and the Alien. I need to just fully disclose that I had not actually watched E.T. before. I had just seen his image as a child and was so deeply disturbed by him, I did not watch E.T. until last night. So, to anybody that has read my book Mary and the Alien, I was not actually influenced by E.T. Do not come at me. Do not sue me. It's you can only do so much when you write a story about kids and aliens, and that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not a dirty plagiarist like the Spielberg fellow who ripped off, Stranger Things.
Yeah. How dare he?
It kind of reminded me of another movie I saw as a kid that had like the exact same premise. Kid finds an alien. I think it was more of a robot alien and needed to like pair him spaceship so it could. It's pretty much the same thing without.
Apparently that phone actually worked. It was actually designed to be a working communication device.
The weird record player buzzsaw thing?
Yeah, it actually worked apparently.
I mean, I could have been convinced as a kid, but I don't know. I'm suspicious.
Oh, IMDb would never lie to us.
I'm just sitting here like, yes, Devin, phones work. You can communicate with them.
They're even wireless these days.
I don't know. I just got my YouTube player.
One thing I noticed, the structure of ET's face and like the fleshy foldiness of it would be terrifying, even seeing a picture of it. So I can totally get why it definitely came off as like a terrifying cornfield goblin.
Yeah.
And I think that ended up,
Fleshy fold.
yeah, it's
Did you ever want to see Einstein crossed with a pug?
that's exactly it. That's the perfect description of what I witnessed watching this movie.
It's the animatronics were actually done really well. Like it was mostly believable, you know, considering. S-
Can I jump in with that animatronics thing? Because I had to Google during this movie, or rather, I DuckDuckGo'd. Was E.T. a robot or a little person? And
little
believe
person.
it or not, he was both. So I have some factoids I would like to read to you. So, firstly, shout out to Tamara de Treu and Pat Billen, who were the two main little people who played E.T. I've got a little blurb followed by another fun fact. So, apparently, Spielberg wanted those on set to act as if E.T. were a real actor for maximum believability, and asked the special effects designers to test out all the puppets' movements well before production began to ensure that the illusion wasn't easily broken. Taking the farce even further, Spielberg told the young Drew Barrymore that the puppet was actually a living, breathing alien. And during the scene where, spoiler alert, E.T. dies, the sobbing reaction shots of Barrymore true to life tears as she truly believed that E.T. had passed away. So, one, oh my god, that's definitely what made her become a drunk. And then, yeah, other scenes, like when E.T. falls on his face from having one too many beers, and this part kills me, were performed by 12-year-old Matthew McDermott, an actor who was born without legs. His specially rigged suit allowed him to walk on his arms where the alien's feet would be. And to that I say, why did they not just hire a third little person? Instead, they have this crippled child doing a fucking handstand. Playing a drunk alien. Look at the shit Hollywood does to people. This is
so are you saying that they shouldn't have hired him because he has no legs? I'm disappointed, Ashley.
exactly. But
Can I actually go a little conspiratorial, but kind of like on that same page? I was getting like
always
I was getting a whole lot of feelings while watching this movie that it was somehow related to like weird Hollywood backroom stuff. Like you have this creepy old looking alien thing in a locked room with a bunch of kids, and then all of a sudden its head and its neck starts extending. All the kids are terrified
no. Oh no! Why? Why would you say that? Why?
and then and then all of a sudden this super young kid who's like 12 years old gets like emotionally invested in this obviously older creature and is panicking when it's getting taken away from him. Perhaps like uh, opportunities and options for success in the industry.
As a filmmaker who has burnt many a bridge over the last year, I relate strongly to that sentiment. And you know what? You might be onto something, Drew.
I'm just I'm just wondering if it was more like true to form and weird than expected, like weird things slipping through. But I mean, I I don't have any bridges to burn, so I'm just throwing it out there that I couldn't put that away. I was just like,
No, you're right. E.T.'s neck was oddly phallic, and now that you mention, his weird fleshy, foldy face, it's just.
Oh my god.
I'm just saying, like, if you want to make it in this industry, kid, you gotta. Oh, jeez. On another thing, I noticed that I wanted your guys' opinion on. The mom.
Yep.
Does anyone else think she was like fully popping uppers and downers? No, legitimately, like she gets home and there's like empty beer cans strung about everywhere. Either she thought she was on a bender and forgot about it, or she was like, "Oh, my kid's drinking and my kid's like 12 and 16 or whatever. I don't care. I'm just gonna look at this can." Like there was something really weird about that.
I
I
definitely
think
agree.
you're
There's something
onto
weird about
something. Yeah, why did they refer to Elliot? If you read the synopsis, it's like troubled kid. I didn't think he was that troubled. I mean, until ET like got him mind drunk or whatever, which again, I think that relates to your theory about Hollywood producers. But yeah, the mom, terrible influence, doesn't care about her kids. I mean, at the very beginning, the kids are all hanging out, they're smoking. I saw the cigarette in the middle of that table. The kids are like what, 6, 7, 8? I don't know
Oh,
how
there's
Oh
old
the
the
older
kids
no!
are.
brother. We don't know how old the older brother is.
Oh
He was
no!
like,
He
I'm gonna
was
say
driving.
15 tops.
He was
15
driving.
tops. I don't
Yeah,
think
15. You
not
can back
legally.
back the car up it.
Yeah, but
The
yeah,
mind
we were in
drunk
a
thing. It
province where it
just.
was like 14 to get her driver's license.
Oh no, this is a mess. But I gotta go back to the mind drunk thing. So he gets the kid mind drunk, and all of a sudden the kid is acting out and kissing people.
Yeah, it was weird. And that kid, when he gave that girl the drunk googly eyes, I was like, what the fuck is that? And
She
how did
she
ET have that power over him? That was very odd.
her reaction though was very realistic. That was probably the realest like facial acting I've seen in the film. Like her reaction of like roll eyes and look away. I'm like, I am pretty sure a girl's done that. Or I feel emotionally attacked right now.
Pretty sure many girls have done that to you before.
Oh, Aaron.
Yeah, ET would be a terrible wingman.
Hello. Just get
um,
everyone mind drunk for me.
yeah. But going back to the troubled aspect, I think they tried to make that, but
Failed to do so.
failed to do so because I mean they were talking about you know going through the divorce and like there was definitely little bits of acting out, but I think it got overshadowed by a lot of what was happening with ET. It didn't quite have the room to breathe to give that room there.
Yeah, I think they could have. I wouldn't have noticed a difference in the film had they removed the whole like absent father bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a long time to realize he didn't have a dad.
It just seemed unimportant to the story. If they had fleshed out the whole like troubled youth, then it would make more sense. But the only trouble the kids seemed to get into was alien related, faking sick and terrorizing a blonde girl holding two frogs and just looking the scaredest she's ever.
um, I think the single dad would actually tie more to Mary's reactions to everything. That's why she's kind of distant. She can't. She's having to go. Like she can't take the time off work because she's now got the family. She's supporting herself, and so it's just cleaning up, not necessarily realizing. That might have been more where the absentee father fits in
The
more.
m- so the mom called Mary.
Yes.
My God, I just like tapped into something when I wrote Mary and the Alien. Like, fuck, I feel like a plagiarist, and I hadn't even read, I hadn't even watched the movie. In my book, I'm like Mary and the Alien, but that's the kid. It's not the mom. Whatever, whatever. It's its
Yeah,
own thing.
I mean, if you called your book Gertie and the Alien, it'd be a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is. I mean, there's a problem where you can. They could have replaced anything related to the father and discussion of Mexico with just a throwaway line saying, "Yeah, since your dad left, you just cut 15 minutes off a film." So I,
The other thing they could have done is they could have had Keys be the dad.
yeah, the federal agent guy.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was happening during the entire movie. I was like, "Oh, this guy that's like this federal agent. Why was he in Mexico? He's like a federal agent. He's doing federal things, being invasive in people.
Trying to destabilize a South American country, no big deal.
Imagine so. Would it be the NSA that would show up?
Speaking of horrifying things, so what did you each find to be the scariest part of the movie?
I'll tell
I don't
you
know if
what.
I'm supposed to ask you questions, but yeah, what scared you? What chilled you to your core?
The realization of how much that single mother with 3 kids is gonna have to pay for that house on the hill. It's a Los Angeles house on the hill with a view. The kids got walk-in closets.
But they couldn't afford power. They never had the lights on in the house. I'm like, yeah, they've got a house, but they're clearly struggling.
That's
Look,
why it was
you want
all
the
going.
roof or do you want lighting?
I honestly I got fixated on the whole like Hollywood elite crossover thing, and that's what all I could not distance myself from that. As soon as I figured that out, which was like a third of the way through the movie, that's exactly how I watched it, and it either ruined the movie for me or made it better. Don't know. What about you, Dev?
I think in like the first bit when Ellie and ET first actually meet each other in the cornfield and just both of their vessels scream and jump back from each other. That was the part. I was like, no, he clearly knows how to do horror, and I could see like that was actually a decent jump scare. It was set up well and worked. That and I think the reaction with Gertie and ET first meeting, and like they're running to the closet, and ET's like running with his arms up towards her as he's trying to hide too. I think those are the two scenes. Like, yep, nope, that's where scares would be.
Well, I was traumatized by E.T. dying of liver cirrhosis on the bathroom floor.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see
When
that.
he went all white, when he was white and extra wrinkly. Oh God, Drew, why'd you have to say that?
I'm just saying, and then the love of this young boy brought this old alien man back to
Oh
life.
God. I
Made him
think you're
feel
right, though.
something.
That's the horrifying thing. You're like super on to something. This was Spielberg's like, oh my God. I mean, and again, we know how much this all fucked up Drew Barrymore. So like, and by the way, shout out to Drew Barrymore. She seems much happier and healthier now, and I'm rooting for her. I like Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, I actually don't. I don't mind Drew Barrymore. I'll definitely tag on to that. She's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you can track
She didn't feel like a Sharon.
You can track her like teenage descent into drinking and drugs and stuff. I think from this movie, like this is what set this all off. Wrinkly old alien neck, and then it's screaming at her, and her thinking it's alive, and that's this whole movie is childhood trauma.
She definitely she dodged that like whole like she got messed up, but she didn't fall prey to a lot of childhood stuff. Like who's that girl who was in what was it, Benny with Johnny Depp at the movie about the insane asylum health facility?
Or Benny and June or whatever.
Yeah, Benny and June.
I haven't actually seen that. Oh, if you guys want a good Johnny Depp movie to talk about later, you should watch Ed Wood. That was a good one. Devin, are you laughing at my suggestion? How dare you?
I'm not surprised by your suggestion.
What's that supposed to mean? No,
Like-
elaborate.
Take it as you will.
Oh, you think I just enjoy watching black and white Johnny Depp movies where he also cross dresses? Like what's
Yes.
what are you like? Yeah, well, you're right. You're right. It was a masterpiece. I loved it. Everyone should watch the movie. Also, I realize I'm getting closer and closer to the webcam. I'm like, Devin, what do you mean?
She's coming after me, guys.
You know, it was a great movie that had some cross dressing. It was I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. It was when William Dafoe was cross dressing in
Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints. Best movie.
That movie is so good.
Um,
Did you figure out who this child actress you were talking about was?
I did,
Or did we just tangent?
and it wasn't who I thought it was. It's Mary Stuart Master. Thinking of somebody else.
I know I can think of many a child actresses that went off the deep ends. Hello, Disney. How do you ruin a girl's future?
Ooh, as somebody who has worked on a film set and has interacted with a child actor, do you guys want some dirt?
Always.
Nothing that's gonna get anyone canceled or fired. It's just, yeah, no, they straight up bring a teacher on set and then the kid has like class several times a day, but they don't do anything. These kids aren't learning anything. And they work them so hard. Such long days. I was at a wrap party for a movie and there was a kid and he's just like, I just want to go home. It was like 10 o'clock at night. We're all at the bar.
And they were
Literally,
like, no.
kids
The
like,
10-year-old is at the
the kids,
bar.
yeah, well, the kid's like, I just want to go home. And he might have been 12 or something. He was young though. And yeah, his mom's like, just a little bit, sweetie. She's like talking to the actors, and the one actor's like, I want to take you to the arcade, son. Let's go party. And it,
Let's do it.
it was weird.
This arcade guy, was he weird, fleshy, and wrinkly?
No, but I heard some very hilarious stories later, thankfully not involving the child actor. I think the kid went home shortly after, but yeah, why are there kids at a bar late at night?
He
He
just
didn't want
wants
to
to
be
watch
there.
some Minecraft videos, and
He does.
well, I hope he's successful.
He is. But yeah, I worry from afar.
Oh, to
Sorry, that got dark.
no, that's okay.
Yeah.
To pop back on on topic ish. So E.T. the Alien, the movie that we all watched. E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. Not Mary the Alien, that's a book. Yeah, most of it had that like 80s campiness. Like the teenagers on the bikes, they were like the stereotype of like no good nicks with their BMXs, trying to act all cool. Expect them to like beat up a nerd who's wearing like a shower costume or something.
I would just like say these kids that you would expect to do that started off playing D&D. They were the nerds that would get beat up.
Pretty cool. But the other
Yes.
one was on the football team. I thought these like movie stereotypes were very specific. It's like you play football, play D&D.
Look, he was just wearing the pads. It was clearly cosplay.
Oh, was he LARPing as a football player?
That's
So
my headcanon now.
they get the ball and then they do rock paper scissors to see if the tackle collides.
They have to roll a
A
D
D
whatever.
a D20.
Yeah, D.
A D whatever. Need to up your nerd cred. Just because you play classic video games on your NES doesn't make you cool, Ashley. Makes you super cool.
Oh, I have an old Sega Genesis downstairs here.
I thought it was a NES. The only
I'm
thing
not that cool. My parents didn't love me enough for Nintendo.
Can't confirm.
Sort of like Elliot's mom. I just drop some trauma bombs and make you worry about me.
Trauma bonds, it's a good investment. Overall, the graphics were really good, though the bike scene, which is always kind of like hailed as super classic and whatnot, like jumping up and you can see it in the moonlight, definitely had that like cut and paste. The lighting was kind of weird and it was kind of off on my side, as well as the spaceship. So there was like a couple things in that I didn't feel were up to the standard kind of Spielberg quality when it comes to the special effects.
From what I know of special effects with that stuff, I think, like I know this goes back to my knowledge more of Empire Strikes Back. So when they do those composites, like there is that bit of a bleed through. It's actually the reason why they did the Hoth scene, like with the bright snow, because it helped hide those lines better. So the fact that was being done on dark screen makes it that little more stand out.
Okay.
So I think that's what happened there.
I actually quite liked the cinematography in the movie for the most part. I thought it was really creative how Spielberg focused a lot on, things were from the point of view of the child. Everything was lower, a lot of like shots of feet and everything. And I don't mean that in a Tarantino type way. It was just, from the perspective of a small child or from E.T. And yeah, I like that. And he did find a good way to exclude, a lot of the parental figures because you can't have a movie about kids getting into hijinks when there's just parents around all the time. I mean, i.e., every 90s teen movie ever, you have to find a way to exclude the parents.
That's why Charlie Brown did it so well.
Well, they actually almost did that. I actually got annoyed near the end of the film because up until like the medical examinations of ET, the only adult's face that you saw was the mother's.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't even see the teacher's face.
Yeah. Like up until that point, I was so irritated when like all of the doctors started taking off their masks and like taking off their hoods and such. I'm like, no, no, you should have kept that faceless. I enjoyed that.
Well, I think the reason why I'm just gonna kind of throw this out here. I just kind of like made it up in my. But the reason why they chose to do it in to humanize those in the suits, because
Mm,
at that point we were getting to like a terrifying conclusion. We thought that um they just wanted the alien, but as soon
yeah,
as they started taking off their suits so they could better assist, they were became clear that they were trying to resuscitate the alien. So I think it was kind of a thing like, no, they're not bad or whatever. Um, they're trying to help as much as they can. To what
yeah.
ends, whatever. But I think that it's kind of forced on. But that,
I actually did come to that same conclusion.
mm.
So I don't disagree with that thought. Because at that same time, I also noted down. I thought I remembered the government being a lot more evil than they were.
I mean,
I mean,
for those can't see me, I'm giving the government is evil kind of like you know uh expression.
I think
yeah.
I think anyone that listens to this podcast will be able to piece together our views on any subject.
Truth. Looking at it, looking at it back, I'm like picking up these things that both of you had mentioned. I didn't realize until now that like even when they were doing regular camera shots, it was at a lower angle than what they would do normally for. And they did focus a lot on the reactions of the kids and like facial like expression storytelling. But there was like a lot of focus on,
Uh,
which thankfully I didn't have any Sharon moments, so I didn't get that feeling of like just awful child acting that's kind of over the top that you kind of expect from like a kids movie.
yeah.
Very
The
nice.
screaming, the screaming was annoying. I hate listening to kids screaming. Like that's
Mm.
why you chloroform them first. You don't have to hear the horrible.
Yeah, but it wasn't forced is the thing. Like it felt realistic.
The
And that's more the point with the not being a sheriff.
Yeah, the only thing that pulled me
It's
out, the only Sharon moment I had was that you're killing him.
Mm.
I just felt
yeah.
like so over the top. I was just like, okay, I'm like disconnected at this point. Like you should you should probably let the authorities separate you from this old creepy man. I mean alien.
The old drunk lush with his jewelry just oh no. Sorry. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
I have
Oh,
a
I'm
mouthful of
never
tea that I
gonna
was sure is going to go into my mic there.
I'm never gonna work in the industry ever again. I've burnt every bridge.
One thing that I really liked about the film is there wasn't any questions left. I mean, that's also kind of a problem. Like
Mm.
I'm not wondering about this universe like what's happening to the kids when once the alien's gone, what's going and doing, what his world or planet's like. I'm just like, okay, story's over. move on. Wasn't capturing, like it have me didn't leave me in awe or wonder. And I could be a disconnect of my current age versus the age of filmmaking and when, but
It could be because you were thinking this was a Weinstein allegory.
it's entirely possible that that might be the case.
What do you think ET got up to when he went back to his home planet?
He was probably high-fiving his weird wrinkly bros, going like, "Oh, you should have seen the trouble I got into." Open that. Oh, did they drink champagne? I don't know how the upper crust lives. I drink slightly more expensive beer than the cheap stuff.
I'm with you. I didn't agree. I didn't see much in the sense of wonder after the end of the film, but Spielberg's really good at just giving a sense of wonder throughout the film.
Like I say,
So
I must have ruined the film for myself when I made like the Weinstein allegory, because like I didn't wonder about this all. I was just sitting here in contemplation about like what secrets are being revealed. So you guys, I would like to hear from your experiences watching this film. Go on, Devin. I'm sorry. Uh,
senses of wonder that Drew clearly missed. Uh, just the full on intro scene, where it's just these aliens kind of like just like the ways like pulling up a plant and touching the trees and such. Like you could get that sense of curiosity from that. You turn around to the meeting of the goblin in the field, to them kind of just using the Reese's pieces to connect, and the sense of wonder from ET collecting these and bringing them back to him, and them trying to form a bond, learning to communicate and such. A lot of that stuff was actually done really well. Like I was brought into that communication, learning from each other aspect. And I thought Spielberg did that really well. I mean, Spielberg does that type of stuff really well in general.
I think he did a great job of just showing how parents in the 80s did not care about their children or listen to them. I mean, for God's sakes, Gertie's like I was gonna say 2 feet. She's like 2 inches away from an alien in her living room, and her mom's just like, everything's fine. I don't notice the alien there. My daughter says there's somebody there. Whatever. She's crazy. There's a quote I wrote down. Early in the movie, they're all sitting at the dinner table, and Elliot's big brother, who's like what, 15 or so, says to Elliot, "Why don't you grow up? Think of how other people feel for a change." Elliot's like 6. Why don't you grow up and act your age, 6-year-old child? Like that's so 80s.
Yeah,
yeah,
a little bit.
that was pretty much the realist moment in the film, and actually humanize the older brother as not just like the jerk older brother in a peace flick. It's
Mm,
like he's he's trying to step up to like be a man in the household when a situation where there's an absent father. Is
yeah.
that too real? Sorry.
No, I actually appreciate that he wasn't the jerk older brother. Like they kind of started that, but immediately it's like, no, no, he's not. I
Yeah,
think
like he was
in other movies,
trying.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, he
And I think a
seemed
lot of other movies they would have troped it up more.
see it seemed like he was just trying to just being like a jerk when his friends were around. Is like a very
Normal thing.
yeah, that's a very normal thing to like just be crappy to your siblings when your friends are around.
I mean, I think somebody could write a really interesting paper on like using ET as a way to explore masculinity in the 90s or the 80s, but nobody wants to have that conversation right now.
Look,
Devin, are you laughing at me or crying?
maybe.
Maybe.
That's
Look,
just your
we've already
toxic
talked.
masculinity is not letting you express your emotions properly. I understand. Life is hard.
What's one of
It's
the,
true. It's very confusing.
that is kind of one of the things. It showed the like the jerk friends as kind of more tag along, kind of more of a group mentality. As soon as the older brother switched and was like, "Oh, we need to do this, this, and this. This is what you guys are doing," they just fall.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden they're running from the cops on their BMXs.
I would like to know what the cops are planning on doing with these kids on their BMXs. Will they have shotguns in their hands?
Oh yeah, they're running up with revolvers, and there's just a bunch of kids on bikes. I'm just like, this isn't LA.
I mean, it was America in the 80s. This isn't a Canadian production. Things were a little different. If I could expand on that, one thing that actually made me super nostalgic at the beginning of the movie was all of the pine needles, all the pine trees with the long needles. Like, oh my god, I haven't seen those like in such abundance since I was a kid. Because the pine beetles killed all our pine trees like that in BC.
Mm.
So that actually made me really nostalgic right from the beginning. Yeah, I don't know. I liked the movie. I didn't think I would. I was nervous to watch it, but I realized that my trauma towards the movie was unfounded. And yeah, that little wrinkly necked alien won me over.
And won a group of kids over as well. Again, I don't even know if my opinion on the movie is even valid at this point, as far as like whether I liked it or not. Because I'm so off in left field that I watched a very different movie than you guys.
I'm proud of you, Drew.
Yeah, this happens. This happened with
ruin a classic.
Totoro. Like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ruin every movie for everyone. I would say though, if I were to give this an arbitrary rating from the eyes of a child, as far as how scary it was, I'd probably give this something like a 9 out of 13 blacks. If I were to rate it as an adult watching it in this day and age, arbitrary number, I would probably give it 4 out of 9 dial tones.
Well, for the black cats, I would have to say I'd honestly probably only give this like 4 or 5 black cats out of the 13. There's a couple of moments that were scary, but they did very well at humanizing, so it didn't. I don't think I ever got like a lasting fear from it when I watched it as a kid. And I don't see where it would have gotten that now either. As for rating it as a movie, I do not remember what you actually said for your numbers.
9 dial tones.
9 dial tones.
Because one must call home.
I think it's 7 out of 9 dial tones. It stood up very well. And unlike, where Drew's going when I say stood up very well, just see that juvenile pickle. Because I'm not a degen who makes this all about Weinstein.
Hey, talk to Spielberg, okay? How would you like to get in on these arbitrary rating systems?
I would like to give it 7 pieces of dangly jewelry off of E.T.'s long, creepy fingers out of 3.
Okay.
And I would like to add, I don't know if you guys have watched the movie Super 8 that Spielberg did, 10 years ago? But now that I've finally seen E.T., I'm like, oh wow, Super 8 was just E.T. It was E.T., but they used the Cloverfield monster. Like, that's all it was. So, you know what? Fuck you, Super 8. There's my E.T. review. Better than Super 8. But I agree with everything Drew has said, and it was very unsettling.
One day you're gonna rewatch this and you're gonna be like, F you, Drew. Worst human being for seeing this in a film. Should have been a childhood adventure. I'll tell you what, though. I'll poop on this a little bit. I like The Sandlot better. I said it. Cancel me if you want. Sandlot was a better kids film.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
You haven't seen The Sandlot? Oh, it's so good. Got a chubby redhead. The big
It was
dog?
really good. But that was like a decade difference. Like that was a movie that was for kids when we were actually kids, as opposed to a movie that came out before us.
Yes. Darn you and your logics.
I know I'm good at that.
So
How have you not
I
seen The
feel like
Sandlot?
I haven't even heard of the Sandlot. The Sandlot. This is totally new to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's the best film ever made, but I mean it's maybe top
Not.
10, but it's definitely not.
I do have a question for you guys though, because you're talking about, the scary moments in ET as an adult, but like what about this movie scared you as a child? I'm just genuinely curious.
My thing is I don't actually remember almost anything from before I was 12. Could be childhood trauma. No
Oh,
one knows.
it
But
is. It definitely is. I'm sorry for everything you went through.
oh,
Definitely trauma.
maybe it just held too real. This old wrinkly man and oh, jeez, no. For me, it actually had an X-Files moment. The first third of the film was very X-Files for me, which also had some spooky. Like there was a scene in the X-Files where Mulder and his kid sister living room, and then there's lights, and then sister was like when they actually showed up, whatever. I might have imprinted that scene onto this movie, but I remember something like that, and I thought it was government aid coming through the windows, which they did.
Yeah.
So that was frightening to me.
Yeah, like trying to remember back when I was a kid, like I think that's kind of the part that really clicks with me as being something that I was creeped out about was again like the NASA suits coming in where it had that again very alien abduction, X-Files type feel. I don't think overall I was scared in this movie when I was younger. Yeah, not that I can remember.
So your trauma then actually just comes from seeing like a picture of ET.
So my aunt had a
It's like ET.
giant stuffed ET, like a full size, like it was, movie replica ET. And when I was probably 3 or 4, my cousin Samantha, who's 2 years younger than me, so she was like 1 or 2, she was just learning how to walk, but she knew I was afraid of this toy, and she would pick it up. And this small child would chase this other small child around the house, and I'm just like screaming, like, please don't, I can't look at him, he scares me. And she's like, ET, phone home. And we're like, ah. For the record, we have a very good relationship right now, so I did get past that.
But
Yeah,
I'm just
that's where
picturing like
the fear
mini
came
Ashley.
from.
I'm just now picturing mini Ashley running away like Gertie and ET. Like,
honestly, yeah. I mean, I was never really that mini. I think I was born like 5 feet tall. However, the image you have is 100% correct. Yes, that was me.
I mean, so was this doll? Was it like I don't know how accurate your memory was. Was it which mode was it? Was it like extended mode or was it like compact mode? Like was it cold outside?
Yeah, it was the cold outside stuffed ET. He was or like room temperature, he was the normal sized ET like as they had in the movie.
Oh jeez. Well, I guess with that I guess I'll wrap it up some. Was there any other points anyone wanted to touch on?
I don't want to touch any more points of this movie.
John Williams' score was amazing as always.
Wait, was he involved in Star Wars?
Yes,
There
very
was
much. And Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones and your entire soundtrack, everything you think of movies was probably John Williams.
because
Superman.
I had a Star Wars moment. I was like, this is totally Star Wars right now. I'm telling you, I'm just a layman. I just like a layman with opinions. I like just saying
There
positive and negative things.
There was one interesting thing that I wanted to bring up with John Williams, the score at the end. So most of the time, the musical directors are scoring to the scenes as they're filmed. Apparently, John Williams was having difficulties doing it, that Spielberg said, "You score it, we'll edit it to your score."
Oh, neat.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was a really cool fact.
That actually is.
That actually, like,
Yeah, the music played a huge role. If the music was any different, the movie would have been something completely different as well too. Would have been much worse if they just, they were more obvious and they went the creepy porn music route.
or
Get some saxophone going.
Every time E.T. runs around, it's just bow chicka wow wow type music. Yeah, no, John Williams was the right choice.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind like 80s pop tracks. To be honest, like when it
Look,
comes
it would
to
have taken too much from Stranger Things if he did that.
but
Yeah, thank you, Devin. Thank you. Standing up for artistic integrity. We need more people like you.
I'm gonna watch that again. This has been Beardy and the Beast Media Club. Join us next time where we discuss the terrifying film Labyrinth. Thanks for joining us, Ashley.
Thank you for having me on. And if people like listening to me babble, they can listen to my podcast, Ready Set with Ashley Good. Comes out every Tuesday. Please don't edit that out. I need the listeners. No.
I was gonna shill you more, but I shilled you on your own podcast
Yeah,
so hard.
No,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
showed herself pretty hard at
Yeah.
the beginning.
No, I liked it.
Yeah.
So if you
Go
were
shill yourselves.
if you were frightened to the core, give us a like and a share, or join us in the conversation in the comments below or at our Discord. Link to the Discord is in the description below. Check out beardyandthebeast.com for a full list of services we're available at. Laters.
Later.